says what it's for, what they do, and they assess annually and seasonally long-term reliability of the entire North American grid in a few ways we'll look at briefly. And they're subject to oversight by FERC. That's come up in a lot of conversations. So here's how they divide up all of North America, and actually they've started to reach into Mexico some too. And our area, WECC, is further subdivided for when they start specifically doing some of their reliability metrics and things. We're now in this thing called the Rocky Mountain Reserve Group of NREC. And the reason I do this is because if you choose to go out and look at this, there's actually a ton of information. They're very open in all that they're doing and the information they provide and their regular reports. This is an example of one particular metric that they use. This particular metric is 0% is how much energy you need to maintain the supply in that particular regional area. The black bars going across there, as they say, you will be fined if you don't have excess margin in that area of just under 15%. You will be fined. And then the bars are what they actually have in that area. And we're a little higher in the western region because of droughts, wildfires, that kind of stuff. They want there to be a higher black bar area than if you look at some of the other regions. So this is just an example of the kind of things they do, the reference levels that they set.
And these are margins of electric capacity?
Margins of electric generation capacity. And obviously, if you've got 25% more capacity than you need, that means 25% of the capacity out there is not going to be generating power at any one time. Some of that will be intentional. It will be the quickly turn on even internal combustion engines to generate. A lot of it will be gas turbines. It'll be miscellaneous stuff. Okay, that's just an example of one of the things they do. Another thing thinking about reliability is our external connections. The little blue bubble represents LPEA's territory. The red lines are the transmission lines that reach out here. We have a 345 heading up to Montrose, a 345 heading down to the San Juan station. And these substation names are the substation names that are used in the open access transmission tariff and tri-states naming, fixed rate sorts of things. Anyhow, a big one going north, a big one going south. The 115 going north is interesting because that's the one that in this recent fire was shut down. It was whenever, you don't want to have things shut down unless you choose to, but whenever something does shut down, it gives you some indication of what your reliability of the systems might be. Then we've got a 115 heading south, and this particular 115, they all connect elsewhere after this. This one connects into the Farmington electric utility system, has some 115s coming out of there. And then there's the 115 coming out of Durango going over to something called Lost Canyon, which connects all over. So we're pretty well connected is what this kind of amounts to. The next thing I'm going to look at cost.
So those are owned by LPEA?
No, they're not owned by LPEA. Internal stuff is. For instance, the 345s going north and south are joint owned by Tri-State and WAPA. The 115 going south, I'm not sure who owns that. I know Farmington owns the ones after this. That's possible we own that. I don't know. I suppose that ownership is known. I just don't have it at my fingertips. We own the 115 heading north until it leaves here, and I suspect that's Tri-State too. Pardon me?
Go all the way up to Cascade or beyond?
It does. It goes. We own up to Cascade, okay. And when it goes beyond that, it's Tri-State ownership.
Okay, so the red indicates Tri-State.
Red indicates external line.
Okay.
I didn't do ownership here. I just happen to know the 345s are Tri-State WAPA lines. I'm not positive of the others. Let's look at costs now. I was trying to understand cost and the availability of cost. And the first thing when you start thinking about the wholesale markets is there's a lot of them. 70% of the power in the United States now goes through the wholesale market. The Western U.S. and the Southeast are the ones that still have what's sometimes called balkanized or vertical markets. It's like our situation. Tri-State generates, transmits, and we then use that versus a market where there's all the generators put it into a pool, and all the transmission is part of a regional transmission organization with flat rates. Those are the sort of the distinguishing things. There is a lot of federal pressure to continue with the marketplace because it has driven up reliability and driven down costs from the best I can tell. We'll look a little further at the Southwest Power Pool because it's close to us, and I'll look at the California ISO stuff a little bit further as we try and understand what their costs are. Southwest Power Pool, one thing I want to point out is how big these power pools are. What I've underlined here is that the power pool has a megawatt capacity over 87,000, and Tri-State has a megawatt capacity of about 2,800. It's just an idea to indicate to you, these things are big. It could swallow Tri-State 30 times. This is the current, in 2017, generation capacity, coal, wind, natural gas, etc. That's what they have in their power pool now. The next thing to note is that there's a lot of growth going on. There's a huge amount of what they call pending internet requests. Southwest Power Pool cannot bring on as much of the pending internet requests as there are. They bring on a certain amount each year.
Not interconnection.
Interconnection, excuse me. Yeah, we're going back to my old network days there. Interesting that again, they have this 87,000 megawatt capacity, and being proposed wind and solar of almost as much as they actually already have. Over the years, there will be more and more of this coming on. It's also interesting to note that there's a significant amount of battery capacity already in their pending internet requests, and that's expected to go up. They don't have much battery capacity now, but probably will. Interconnection. Sorry about that. Keep laughing. You can easily find more on this and study it. The Southwest Power Pool has annual reports and a lot of information. What's one thing about the wholesale market, it's very transparent. Southwest Power Pool has 95 members. This is kind of a list of them. 12 of them are power marketers. Power marketers are those who don't own anything. They're just buying and selling and working that aspect of it. There are 27 G&Ts in the Southwest Power Pool. Tri-State is one of those. Tri-State is a member of the Southwest Power Pool, which means they can sell power in and buy power from it as needed.
Is the SPP what Excel just dropped out of?
No.
What was
That's the
that?
Rocky Mountain Transmission Group.
Mountain West Transmission Group was,
Thank
yeah, I don't know if Excel is part of this or not. I didn't.
They actually are. Excel is a member in SPP in the East Interconnect, and another division of Excel Energy, which is Northern States Utility, is a member of MISO.
MISO was there, the line one in the middle. Okay.
Britt, is Guzman a power marketer?
Yes,
Okay.
Guzman is power. I do not know that one of those 12 power marketers, I don't think is Guzman in this case. There are other people like, well, I won't mention names. The average energy price last year for purchasing power from the Southwest Power Pool was 2.7 cents a kilowatt hour. Okay, the historical and predicted price from this thing called the 2017 Altinex Market Report shows that it's kind of been jumping around. It's been staying around 3 cents. If there's a seasonal variation to it, probably the summers are more expensive and the springs and falls are cheaper. And it's predicted to slightly increase, but to stay around that 3 cent range.
Does this include when you have to pay people to take your electricity?
You have to pay to transmit it.
No, so I'm thinking of the duck curve, and when there's so much, so right now, for instance,
Yes.
in California, sometimes you're charging a negative amount
That's
for
correct.
electricity. So does this dollars per megawatt hour include?
It's an average. It's an annual average that and we'll have some more information, a little bit more on that shows how it varies. Sometimes for the season and day, the price could be 50 times higher than 100 times higher than that, and sometimes it'll be negative, meaning they don't want anybody's power.
Right, so this is the average. Is there a median available? Because the median, I assume this is not normal data, so an average is not going to mean as much as a median.
That I don't know. It is available. There's a chart coming up that I have a reference to. You can download the data. I did download it and averaged it. I did not pull a median out of it. So the data is available. It's a lot of data is the problem. It's kind of hard to deal with.
So is this what would be referred to as spot power? Just with that excess power that people are trading back and forth?
Yeah, but there's several trading. Some of it you're buying year ahead stuff. Some you're buying day ahead stuff. Some's 15 minutes and some's real time. So it's an average of that. And we'll see in a minute, and we can pull up on the web at any instant to look at the day ahead, 15 minute, and real time. We don't know the contracts for longer time. That's not as readily available. This is an example of one of the hub pricing, and it tells you the website at the top. Anybody can bring that up. And this one does it kind of in a heat map arrangement, so you can see where the pricing is, and you can click on the little bubbles there. Those are actually the trading hubs. And you can change this one to be, this one was real time, and there's day ahead. So you can click on the different ones to get that different kind of pricing that shows up. This one's relatively boring because it's all kind of flat in the normal price range. That was for the Southwest Power Pool. Okay, now let's go to what's called the Western Energy Imbalance Market. This is pretty new. It just started in 2014, and it's just been growing like gangbusters because of how much money it can save. And the reason it's growing is like Pacific Core here in the middle, Warren Buffett's Pacific Core. If they got extra power and want to sell it now, they can. If they need extra, it's become this marketplace exchange. So that really helps them out. It helps the generators out a great deal. So this is the color code here. Orange is who's active now. California is the one who does the marketplace control. They're the ones that set up the buy-sell marketplaces. The blue are going to be joined. The green is joining. Where's green in there? Oh, it's just SMUD, Sacramento. They're going to join in 2019 as mothers. And the really, really huge one is Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. That's the largest in the United States in number of members. They're going to join it as well. So that will be interesting to see. And again, this one's very open in their numbers. This was just an example of a few days I found where somebody else was investigating this FTI consulting group, and they were looking at what's the prices of these different trading hubs and noticing on one day how it spiked up, and at the same time on some trading hubs, it's spiking way up and going way down. And that probably has to do with a little bit of information we'll be able to see in one of these others for the congestion market. So it's probably forcing some up and forcing some down. Yeah?
Is it fair to say that Enron really screwed up our ability, or has scared a lot of people off it, so we're just now kind of getting back to trusting these kinds of markets?
I don't know. I can't say if that's fair or not.
Well, I'll say, I think Enron really screwed this up. And, so regulation in these markets is going to be very, very important too, so that we don't have bad players coming in and playing havoc.
If we're speculating, I'll say that Enron probably really helped us out by really screwing it out.
By
That's one
screwing it
reason
up,
we get all this
yes.
horrible stuff
Okay.
now, all these laws, and the fact that NERC has teeth and things probably has a lot to do with that. Yeah.
So Rick, before we go into the future slides, could you give a couple sentences on why we're talking about this? Like, what's the point here? Where is this going? What's the objective of these slides in this conversation?
Our mission statement includes lowest reasonable cost. If this is a low reasonable cost, it's absolutely imperative that we not only understand it, we look into it for our future.
Okay, these are electricity futures costs at various locations around the country. I mean, there's an awful lot of costs. Whatever the prices are here, there's an awful lot of costs that go between this and getting to our membership. I mean,
Perfect segue.
It's like a Scooby sandwich of costs. You know what I mean?
Perfect segue. Let's go on. Oh, and by the way, notice these are different. Every one of these is a different trading node. That's the segue. Where are these nodes at, and what's our node? The wholesale power market nodes can be seen at any point. This is a fairly short one, kaiso.com/price map. I can bring it up too. And these are the prices at those nodes with the power from those nodes. What's our closest node? This is a good map. Sometimes it's very interesting. If you happen to catch it during a hot sunny day, you'll see all these various nodes all over the place start to change colors. Our node, closest one, there's a few around here, is in San Juan. That's the San Juan Trading Hub node. I clicked on that whenever on 6/13 at 12:13 hour, and the cost, I was on the day ahead market. Notice up there, you can drop down the day ahead, 15-minute, and real time. I looked at them this morning as well, and the price that you could get right now, you could find at that. And at that time, the other interesting things here, it gives you 3 prices: energy, congestion, and losses, and it adds them up. The congestion is negative, the losses are negative. You add those up to get the location marginal price that I'm interested in, and it was about 2.9 cents delivered. So that answers that question, Doug. The prices are from those nodes. It's worth a look at this website. Again, it's worth a look at this. And perhaps to follow on with Kirsten's remarks is all I'm going to say, looking at all this and trying to understand, is don't fear the markets. Don't fear the markets. This is just another hub and another average, again, average prices. This is the Palo Verde hub on that green, all with green dots. This would be one that's a little further away, only because when I got this data some months or years ago and averaged it, I picked that hub rather than the other one. Anyhow, the point of this is the marketplaces were high in the past. They've dropped a lot. The prices are coming down. And if you look at the Tri-States prices, that line we've seen a lot of times now, knock at least about 1.5 cents off of that to be able to compare what the wholesale prices to us are versus the wholesale price to us from the market could be. It's over 3 cents. It's a lot of money. And if you look at that now, who might already be an independent co-op who doesn't fear the markets has gone on with them, and how have they done that? Beartooth Electric Cooperative in South Central Montana has exited from a G&T, and they are going to a wholesale provider. But obviously a small co-op like us, well, I wouldn't necessarily say us, maybe we would, but what they chose to do is not hire a person to buy and sell power on the markets themselves. They chose to buy power from Morgan Stanley, who is a power marketer. They have a market agreement with Morgan Stanley to buy all the power that they choose to buy at 3.425 cents per kilowatt at any time, as long as that contract, I don't know the length of it. They also got their own share of WAPA power. The WAPA power, every rural co-op in the United States can get a certain percentage of WAPA power. I shouldn't say United States, it might just be Western. Yeah, and right now, our allocation is grabbed by Tri-State and then given back to us. They've got their share, the WAPA power that they pay, which probably is less than we would down here because they're closer to all the really big Bonneville and stuff, but I really don't know that. I don't know what our costs are. Their cost for WAPA has a demand charge of that number and an energy charge of 1.6 kilowatts per hour. Their transmission at Beartooth goes from 0.58 to 0.92, depending on the season, always less than a cent. They're expecting, and the rate forecast for 2018 is 4.14 cents a kilowatt hour. They have been able to reduce their rates to their members several times since they've gone to the wholesale power market. Aztec is just another example that we have information from. They left P&M when they were paying 8 cents a kilowatt hour. They've contracted with Guzman Energy for 4.95 cents a kilowatt hour, but that includes Guzman building them a 1.2 megawatt PV array, which is in operation now. It includes all their power delivered to the Shiprock substation. If they have any costs after that, I don't know. Guzman came in and said, okay, you're paying for this PV system now. If you want to buy that PV system for X amount of dollars, we'll start selling you power for 4.42 cents. Aztec said, no thanks, we just as soon keep paying 4.95 and not have to pay a chunk of cash, which we don't have right now. Aztec hasn't been able to lower their consumer rates. They have lowered their rates.
By a percent, by,
I don't know, I didn't study it, I just know they did lower the rates. But you can get them, they're online, go to the Aztec website, get their rates. I don't know how, you have to be able to get both the old and the new ones to be able to make a comparison. I didn't do that.
okay, thank you.
Another cooperative principle is autonomy and independence. We do not have independence in our power supply now. If we did, we could better address the fourth part of our mission statement, which would perhaps being environmentally responsible. We don't have that much control of what we can do now. But I wanted to mention, reiterate again, in looking at this, the wholesale power markets, the reliability is high. As a matter of fact, it's so high that it's saving us a lot of money through Tri-State. Tri-State now is relying on the power pools rather than keeping spinning reserves going, which they used to have to do. It's a good thing because right now Tri-State has 2 significant facilities that are not operational, as shown in the recent Tri-State board minutes. We know that the one in Craig's been down since around Christmas time, 6 months now, and now the JW Schaefer station is down as well. So they're buying more and more power on the wholesale markets, and it's good that they joined the Southwest Power Pool to keep their rates down. We know the costs are lower in the wholesale power market, and doing simple math, every month that we don't go into the wholesale power markets, after all was said and done, at today's prices is about $1.3 million a month. These aren't small numbers. This is significant numbers, and in my opinion, they're significant enough that it's important that we look into it further.
That $1.3 million a month, that calculation, does that include the cost of buying out 33 or 32 more years of the contract?
No, it does not. This is after that's done and we're fully independent. That has to be, would be put in there.
That's kind of a significant numeric omission.
I would say that, no, it's not an admission. We obviously know that's part of it, and we would have to research and look into that. This is just saying the difference between now and the difference between where we could be at today's rates is $1.3 million a month in this conservative number.
Because you were tasked to look at the.
We were not
cost, right?
tasked to look at that, so we did not look
Well,
at
it's
that.
good to disclose that.
Okay, and now it's Bob.